Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. First of all, I'm very excited to be here and to talk about a subject that I am particularly passionate about, which are NFTs. My goal here is to show you, in a different context, how we can use NFTs beyond the speculation that we kind of see today on the market. And for you, actually, to have your own opinion if it's a fail or if it's here to stay. So for this topic, we have our speakers here that we met earlier, except for Matthew, who is the co-founder and CEO of Settlemint. So thank you guys for being here, and great to see you and to meet you. So before we start, I have a question for the audience, actually. How many of you own an NFT? Raise your hand, please. Oh, nice. That's amazing. So for those who didn't have one, I'm sure for the last year you saw NFTs everywhere, you heard about them, you see them everywhere. And actually, it's not that, they're not that young. So the first NFT actually was created in 2014, and they became kind of famous with the CryptoKitties in 2016. So, but why this past few years we have this such hype around it? So, Ben, how do you explain this hype around NFTs?
The hype can be explained both by the lockdown first, which explain also the boom of cryptocurrency. People staying at home and in front of screens. And they all say, you've read that papers, journalists said that the lockdown accelerated like 3 or 4 times the pace of technology entering our homes. So obviously it's linked to that. It's linked to artists that came into the field and proposed nice creations. And now it's linked to use cases now. Now it's the business area that starts to invent new ways of communicating with a brand. I believe in that. It's more exciting, basically, now to have an NFT than a regular, marketing tool that we know about.
Yeah, that's true, definitely true. And since I work in the space for at least a year right now, the reason that people are not going into NFTs is because the price is very high. So we need to know that the most pricey NFT, I think, was sold for 91 million, right? How do you determine the value of an NFT?
It's just people, it's offre et demande. People ask and people bid on it. The high prices, it's as the art world, it concerns very, very few artists. Yeah. It's just the headlines, but it's not the reality of artists. I know many artists that can make a living with NFT now. So they quit their job, their regular job, and they make a living, a decent living with selling their NFTs in the art market, in the art business. But then NFTs is, concerns now many more fields, and I'm sure we can talk about that with you. But it's just the headlines. So, but look inside, deep inside the field of the market, that you can discover many more creations that the press will never talk about.
Yeah, and for some people who are jumping in the space, so they don't know what to choose, they should buy crypto or NFTs. Why would you say to David? What would you say to them? Why would they buy an NFT? What would be the reason behind?
More than a classical token or crypto, it's definitely really different, because what a crypto is. It's a token attached to a blockchain ecosystem with some utilities that depends of the ecosystem, and I will jump in the NFT just after. But yes, when you buy just a token in replacement, or when we choose a token and not an NFT, that's because you are interested by a blockchain project. You want to take part in it, because with a token you can take part to the governance, you can help to secure the environment, the blockchain environment. You can use the environment also, using your token to pay fees, services. It's limited, I would say. The different functionalities are limited, and you also can trade it and make I have some hope about the valuation. The NFT is definitely really different and more complex because, as we explained, the token will represent a value, potentially a valuable asset and rights on a valuable asset. You could finally manage rights and on the real estate with a token, manage rights on painting, different art pieces. You could also take part in a governance process, but in relation with a company coming from the real world. The use case are, I would say, more evolved. And it's just my humble point of view. I'm a blockchain entrepreneur and really interested in the blockchain ecosystem development. But if I had to give, it's not a financial advice, but if I get to give some advice about that, I would prefer to invest, I think, in an NFT than in the crypto, except if I'm definitely interested in the blockchain ecosystem behind the token.
So for you, it's a good investment, non-financial advice.
It's an interesting tool to maybe invest in the future. That will depend. That will depend of the assets that is connected to the token. Because if if we are talking together about NFT that make connection with some flying monkey or something like that, to be honest, I would say no, it's not a good investment. It's just speculation, and it was possible during the hype moment a few months ago. But for the future, I would say cautious about that. But yeah, if you find a concrete project beyond the NFT, definitely, I would say consider it, do your own research, and make
due diligence first. Yes, and I think also we had a big controversy actually in the NFT space with all these profile pictures and if it's actually art or not. A lot of people, they don't understand this type of art. So Benjamin, do you NFT are only art-based according to you?
No, now we know that they are linked to digital assets, any kind of assets. Basically, these tokens that we talk about, whether they are fungible or non-fungible, these tokens are the missing link in our digital life, basically, because we have screens for 30 years now. We have the internet for 20 years. And we don't understand the value of what we have. Like, we watch Netflix, but you don't own the movie. You're a renter. You're on Spotify. You don't own the music. You're just renting music. So anything what you're doing on your computer, you're not the owner. You're just renting the space, renting the software. Now with an NFT, with a token, you're the owner of what you do on your screen, of what you exchange on the internet. That's the big thing, you know?
Yeah, and especially with all the utilities coming, it's very interesting, I think, to see the space evolving so quickly. But the thing I see here, the last couple of months, is that utilities and the services behind NFTs are quite limited, and people are criticizing them. So, Mathieu, what if you need to tell the audience today about NFTs and their real utilities on how they can simplify our daily life, basically? In a real scenario use case.
Yeah, sure. I think before I do that, though, I think the other thing, just in the question previously was about what to look for in NFTs, but I would say maybe a word of advice on what to look out for. If the images or metadata are stored centrally, then don't buy the NFT. That's way too much can go wrong with that. So your ownership can be of something that digitally existed at one point in time, but then got deleted by the owner of that centralized database. So be wary of websites that offer NFTs that are not using something like IPFS or some other decentralized file storage mechanism.
We're all using IPFS.
Yeah, good. So there's maybe you don't have to worry about him. I think in our daily lives for NFTs, there's a lot of practical use cases that are being explored, and I think a lot of them Benjamin talked about a bit earlier. But things like product warranties. I mean, if I get a product secondhand, I want to, where's the manual that carries my warranty? where's my ownership of the rights that a warranty entitles me to? If we're talking about physical or digital goods that include a warranty, that's easily encoded into an NFT. It's unique. It's for that specific unit that specific item that I've purchased. So transferring ownership of warranties is an interesting use case. Another one that's really quite relevant, and for one of the reasons you mentioned about royalties as well, like having patents on as NFTs as well. Patents are something unique. And a lot of people that have patents, what they want to do is sell royalties for that. So I think that patents are really practical. Does that touch everybody's day-to-day life? Maybe not. The warranties might be a bit more applicable. But I think a huge area to further develop with NFTs is patents, in fact.
Yeah.
I'll stop there.
And what about content creators in the educational field?
In which field?
Educational and people who create content online, which is a big market right now.
Yeah, I mean, I use Coursera all the time, and you pay a monthly fee, but how much goes back to the content creators of the educational material that's available online? So again, it's the same kind of thing. The item is unique. It's created by an individual. It's their efforts that have gone into it. Whether we're talking about education or art or anything else that's created, having that any content that's created, that unique attribute of it is why NFTs make sense. And they protect the ownership of it, and the owner of the creator of the content, whether it's educational or art or something else, has the ability to put in restrictions on how the material can be used or the content can be used, and can be entitled to royalty streams in the future, as you were describing earlier, Benjamin.
Yes, and as we saw also earlier, so NFTs are basically smart contracts, and all those smart contracts, we have lines of codes. So how important is the quality of this code?
Totally critical. If the code, we see enough explosions every day in things that go wrong when the code is not properly audited or properly tested. So yeah, the code is critical. We're talking about decentralized systems where the mantra is typically the code is law. So if there's something wrong with the code, all bets are off. I mean, your ownership, your rights, whatever it might be, that you're acquiring through an NFT or whatever. The code is key. The smart contract has to be rock solid. If anything can go wrong, it probably will. So because there are enough people out there that are looking for those things they can exploit, and we're So that's it's.
And so what's
No, I want to talk about communication, about the word smart contract. I've just noticed recently that people start to forget about the word NFTs because they are too much linked to collectibles like CryptoPunks, Bored Ape. People are fed up with that. And now some consultants, NFT consultants, start to use the word smart contracts, which is the technology behind. So it's like, remember that at the time, 2 years ago, they used the word blockchain, like blockchain ecosystem. Now they use the word Web3. And I've noticed when I meet people, I say, I'm into Web3. They say, oh, nice. They understand because they say Web3, which means Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. Ah, okay, I got it. It's the next age of the internet, so that's it. And for the storage of the image, you're right. It is a problem because the blockchain Ethereum cannot store my JPEGs and not my movies, of course, so it's stored elsewhere. But it's an ecosystem that we build. So we trust OpenSea. When I put my NFT on a marketplace called OpenSea, I trust them to do surveillance on these files so as my NFTs will still be there in 20 years. It's complex ecosystem.
Yeah, something important about smart contract. It's not just a question of security, it's also a question of rights. Because a smart contract is a program in a transparent, decentralized environment and more, with some profile to manage this program. And you mentioned the example of OpenSea, but when you use the service of OpenSea, you activate the smart contract of OpenSea administrated by OpenSea. That means if they would like to stop it in the future for a while, it's definitely possible. Even if it's decentralized, it's not governed in a decentralized way. It's really different. So you could check a lot of things about the functioning of OpenSea, smart contract architecture, but you are not you have not the insurance that you will always have the control of your NFT of what you have produced through the OpenSea service. It's really important. It isn't just a question of security, but also a question of right transfer and management.
Yeah.
I have just about that an experience to share about a blockchain called Tezos, which is another blockchain. There's a lot of creators, artists on Tezos, and the marketplace famous last year was Hicket Nunk, and it was an open code, open source marketplace done by developers, and it went down, and in one weekend, people in the world said, okay, we're going to rebuild this marketplace. And all of a sudden, my NFTs disappeared for 2 days, but actually they disappeared from the marketplace, and then another marketplace rose up, and I found my NFTs again because they're on the blockchain, and it's open source, so anyone can build a marketplace and find all your NFTs. I don't know, I mean, Ethereum is maybe more complex. If OpenSea has a problem, I don't know what will happen, but I'm not sure it's open source. But I've experienced that, and you know, it's crazy.
Yes, I have also many issues. Actually, in January, I think everyone was calling OpenSea broken sea because there are so many issues in the space. And why the blockchain is important, the choice of the blockchain, why it's important, David?
It's because we want to resolve all the problem through a smart contract because, as I mentioned, they are just programmed in a decentralized environment. But what the blockchain brings as an infrastructure is more about transparency and give to the user, the people, the faculty to control and to catch the transaction. And it's really important because if we don't have that, it's like, I would say, deploying new economic model through NFT, I would say, in an old IT environment as the cloud is one. So it would be the same than that the current IT solution, the cloud-based. And yeah, blockchain give us this very important opportunity to have access to all the data transaction, to control the data transaction functioning of smart contract, and it's really important for the user and to develop other kind of model around for the Web3.
Yeah. And to this day, can anyone create an NFT?
Sorry?
To this day, anyone can create an NFT?
I think Benjamin as the solution. It's definitely simple because you have a lot of services available through the website, classical website, I would say, as OpenSea, Rarible, etc. That depends of what kind of control you would have to your NFT and your production. If you want to have a complete control of the process, you have to deploy your own smart contract. It's really important. It's the only way to have the complete control. But if you're not afraid about losing the control to another service provider, it's not a problem. You can use, and I think you will have more example than me of marketplace available for all the non-technical public that would love to create NFT.
Wait. There's several. So you have open marketplace where anyone can create an NFT, like OpenSea, Rarible, and you have closed or curated marketplace where no one can sell an NFT except if you're invited. Like I would love to be invited into Maker's Place or Super Rare, that are the best NFT space for creators, you know. But then I'm on Known Origin, which is a great place also. So but then he's right. It's a marketing strategy to choose your blockchain. For example, Tezos is known for being environmental friendly because it needs less electricity than Ethereum. So brands, I think it was Gap and Ubisoft also, they've chosen Tezos to send the message that they care about the environment and that they can do NFTs. So it's also a marketing choice. But then also brands create their own smart contracts because they want the NFT to do so and such actions during the year. Or they want the NFT to be to make an evolution. It's a crazy world. It's a very interesting right now what's happening.
Yeah, and for the three of you, Mathieu, you will start. How fast you think the adoption rate will be, and in 10 years, where do you see smart contracts in some futuristic use case?
I think the question was asked at the beginning, but how many people here have an NFT?
No.
Okay, and how many of you had an NFT 2 years ago? How about 5 years ago? So I think we got to around half the audience now and nobody 5 years ago. So I would say looking forward, it's probably not too far off that we get, because we're already at kind of I think what we saw here, okay, it's a very select group of people that are interested in the space, but so possibly, well, definitely not representative of the general population, but 5 years I think is very realistic to see mainstream adoption of NFTs.
Moreover, you will have all in 2 years an NFT you don't even know about. Because like Photoshop right now is developing the new Photoshop will be when you make a file, it will be, and you register your file on your computer, it will create an NFT automatically. When the next iPhone next year and year after, every time you'll take a screenshot, a picture of your family, it will be an NFT on the blockchain automatically. You don't even know about. So everyone will have an NFT. Your papers, your driving license, passport will be NFTs, and you won't even know about. So that's how it's going to go. And so it's, of course, going to be massive.
Yeah. David?
I have a dream about blockchain and smart contract. Yes, but it's not just about the NFT. There are powerful combination, because just imagine smart contracts are just program. You can consider it like this, no more. But they are developed in a complete transparent way and transparent environment. So we could use smart contract as program and blockchain as this infrastructure. In the IT world, we name that the backend. So it could be the cloud, if you prefer. But the difference with blockchain and smart contract, with this combination, is that it gives for the user the opportunity to control every step of the process, every transaction. And just imagine this combination is in economic environments as insurance, justice area, why not? Everything could be controlled by users, citizen. I don't know. You could build smart cities, starting from combination of smart contract and blockchain. It's not just about NFTs. It's
the ecosystem.
The opportunity to create new value chain and new real economic model.
Yes.
And it's my dream.
And did you hear about this Solebond and token? It's a white paper wrote by Vitalik. And it's a token which is linked to your identity that you can store on the blockchain. It could be, you have your resume on it, all your identity, all your vaccines, for example. What do you think about it? Because there is a big controversy right now around this topic.
Vaccines.
There are a lot of projects around this kind of model in the metaverse also. In Europe it's complicated because the GDPR.
Yeah.
It's difficult to have a good idea about. If it was just my point of view, I'm not afraid about being represented by a token in new digital world as metaverse or marketplace. It's not a problem for me, but I know it could be one for other people, because the people here are, I suppose, interested in blockchain, its development, but just think about, we have to catch more people within our environment ecosystem to have more use case, more velocity around use case. It's really important. And for the mass adoption, I don't know if less privacy could fit with mass adoption. I don't know, to be honest. For my humble point of view, and if I was alone on the earth, I would say yes, but I think it's just for a minority. Oh, yeah.
So just to maybe my thoughts on where does this lead us to? I think
Yeah.
we're here at a blockchain event, so we're talking a lot about blockchain technology, but it's just one of many technologies that that are very powerful, will reshape the future, but it's just one of them. And I think as we're looking at a much more connected world going forward, we're already pretty connected, but I think every device or item or object will have an identity in the future as well. So I think where will this be in 10 years? Of course, that's really, it's a bit of a crystal ball kind of game, but what I can imagine happening is that from a commercial perspective or a business perspective, things like a concept like, remuneration or compensation at the point of consumption is something that can be envisioned in the future. So you have a lot of elements that go into producing a good that I'm consuming as a consumer, and the fact that all of those items are individually tracked, or then I think we're going to get to a place where we're so hyper-connected that who's using what at what point in time, all of that stuff is will lead to a model, an economic model where it's really remuneration or compensation at the point of consumption.
Yeah. This topic is we can talk, I think, for hours about it. You have something?
I'm interested in how technology reshapes our social interactions and our social organizations. I can see now with technology, with the internet, the world is open to us, to any one of us. I see that people interact with foreigners on the other side of the planet. And I foresee that blockchain and NFTs will enhance communities, very strong communities that will talk about, plastic bottles, water, that will talk about the weather, that will talk about plants. And these communities will be so strong that they will be cross borders, and they will interact through NFTs, through metaverse, and give their trust to a blockchain for their interactions. So that's what I see. Some people are scared about that because it can fractionalize the society, but I'm not afraid. I think on the contrary, it can accelerate bonding between humans that are more comfortable with other humans than in their own sphere,
Yeah. Yeah, I think the use case is actually imagination is our limit in this space. So it's the last panel for the NFT topic. So if you have any questions, it's the time to ask our three speakers here. No questions?
So go and buy one. Download a wallet, download a MetaMask wallet or a Temple wallet. Go on Tezos also. There's not only Ethereum. Put €5 on object.com, the marketplace. You can buy a nice NFT from an artist for €5 maximum. You can find for €2. It's not expensive. It's fun, and it puts you inside the game. And then you can reply to people who tell you that it's a scam, it's a Ponzi, blah, 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 everything you can hear every day.
Only crazy people would buy an NFT. Only crazy people. the best crazy people, something like that. Bill Gates, yeah. It's come from Bill Gates.
And I guess there's 30 seconds. We'll do a short plug. If you want to build an NFT, check out Settlemint's platform. We have all kinds of tools, templates, and a platform to go from content to live on OpenSea in about 25 minutes. So that's all it takes. You can try it out, test it out, get free credits to do it for the first time. And then, but anyways, if you're interested in creating NFTs, check out Settlemint.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure having you. A question? Okay, we have one question.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and giving an opportunity to ask a question. Because right now we see really low volume in NFTs. And actually because of the bear market, it's a good time to invest if you do your own research. What kind of projects do you think would be good to keep in mind and observe and maybe invest? Because we know that a majority of them, even right now, even if they are blue chips, it will be not even possible to make the roadmap true. So what kind of projects do you have in mind right now that could be a good investment for long-term holding? Thank you.
Non-financial advice.
The volumes you're talking about are only art NFTs or collectibles, okay? This is just like a few percentage of now the NFT that are issued. I would say go for social tokens. Go for NFTs that give you access to a community, access to utility, access to a private conference, for example, access to knowledge. Go for these kind of NFTs that are not subject to volatility or speculation, you know? That's how I would say.
And maybe also projects that are governed on chain, because you could take part also to the governance through your NFT. That depends of the project, but it will give you a best overview, understanding of what is organizing beyond the scene, I would say.
Pick something that you wouldn't mind having hanging on your wall on a
Just in
digital
case.
photograph frame.
And I will add actually to check the background of the founders. I think it's very important to see who are behind the project. Are they legit people? Are they involved in the community? Or are they just here to make a quick flip, like we say? So, you're welcome. Well, thank you. It was a pleasure.